What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the next episode in the My Team series. Today, I'm joined by, in my opinion, one of the most aggressive FPL managers out there. It's a man with 50,000 followers on Twitter, famous for his FPL threads. Jian, welcome to the channel. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. It's great to be back. It's been a while, so recording with you again. Good stuff.
Good to have you back on. Now, the thing I love about you and your teams in general is that you don't really play by the rules. You kind of rip up the playbook and you just go with players that you want to put in your team. And a lot of the time that means they are extremely differential. And you've told me just off camera that this draft that you're showing today, which is your current side, is no different.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. It's more aggressive from a defensive standpoint. I think I've kept, in terms of the attacking assets, a lot more of the fundamentals. But yeah, defensively, it's quite aggressive, just the whole strategy there. And same with the transfer strategy regarding this draft.
Okay, let's get into it, my friend. I'm very interested to see this team. As always, we're going to be building this on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. It's a great little tool which will give your team a team rating at the end. It's completely free to do. So if you guys want to do the same with your own team after seeing Jian's, the link to do so is down below. Okay, let's get into it, my friend. Who is in goal?
Okay, so I will do the defense in two parts because we've actually got two double ups. So yeah, we're already starting aggressive. Okay. So I've got Miguel and Morella from Nottingham Forest.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll just speak about them first. I think in terms of the opening, maybe 8 to 10 fixtures, but even on a shorter scale, maybe 6, they have some of the best, both from an attacking standpoint and a defensive standpoint. And I considered going like the Burn concert rotation just in general, but I'm not super sure about Burn's expected minutes, nor Newcastle's defense. I think they haven't particularly recruited, or really anyone to bolster that. And if Bruno Guimaraes is still going to be playing at 6, yeah, he's a quality player, top player, but I still don't think I'd want him at 6. I'd rather have him at 8. And just these type of things, and also how intense their style is, and how teams can kind of cope with transition-based football now as the level basically raises in the league. So with all of that in mind, I'm not sure I'm dead set on Newcastle being able to keep clean sheets. Thus, I would want to go for a team that I really back. Morella's got a little bit of attacking threat. Like, he's never scored a goal, but from set pieces and just open play, he always looks like a little bit dangerous.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Yeah, I wanna back Forest there, and I'm quite happy to do so. They've obviously recruited Miguel. He'll help a lot from set pieces, given he's 6 for 8, and that's something Forest struggled with last season. And also, they were 4th best for, I think, XG conceded when Nuno joined, and therefore, really, it's just the keeper's fault, right? And if they've got a new one who also helps with their deficiency in set pieces, I'm very happy to double up and kind of take an aggressive route. If I hit 1 clean sheet out of the first 3, it'll be okay for that price.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, yeah, I think I've seen that exact stat as well. Since Nuno joined, Forest, 4th highest in terms of expected goals conceded. Well, 4th lowest in a good way. A really tight defense. Yeah, probably being let down by their keepers last year. I mean, Turner didn't have a good season at all.
Yeah, I remember some games that I was watching, and some of the goals they conceded were pretty much all his fault.
Yes, which is, it's harsh, but it's fair. Talk to me about Miguel then. 6 for 8, you say. Is he definitely an upgrade? Is he going to be the difference, in your opinion, between having the great stats that we know they have in defense and actually turning that into clean sheets potentially?
So I believe I'm right in saying that they conceded 22 goals last year from set pieces. Now, if you've got a keeper who can come and claim the ball, that's going to slash that right down. Spurs is a really good example, right? Like, Vicario was a brilliant shot stopper last year. And especially in the first half of the season, in terms of Premier League team of the season, he was the #1 name for everybody. But when teams started to figure out that you could put pressure on him in the box, and crowd him, they definitely started to get worse from set pieces. I remember Arsenal exploiting it. I remember a couple other sides exploiting it as well. So if he can stop that negative side of things there, and also has good shot stopping, I'm pretty bullish on the Forest defense.
Yeah, well, double up would suggest that you definitely are. Okay, yeah. Let's move on. Who have you got next?
All right, so this used to be Trent and Guardiola, but I've done a full 180, and I'm gone double Arsenal.
Wow.
I wasn't really too interested in them, and I'll explain why, but my perspective definitely shifted. So I've got White and Gabriel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a big difference. Talk to me about that decision making.
Sure. So I'll start on Trent and Guardiola. I really liked them initially, but then when I started to think about it, given I would like to be quite aggressive, and given I like to have this defense set and not use any transfers, or maybe one in the first 6 weeks, but apart from that, just leave it. I couldn't really do that with the Trent Guardiola structure, just given the third defender I'd have to have. So with Guardiola, I think Chelsea first up, De Bruyne, Foden, and a few others. Alvarez probably won't be fully fit. I expect Chelsea to score. Not necessarily win, but expect Chelsea to score. And given I have Nkunku, so a little spoiler there, given I have Nkunku, I don't really want to limit my seeding to my team. I think Guardiola will play the same role he did for the first 2, 3 games as he did last year, just to kind of help with the fact that they might be losing a bit of X Factor talent. But it's mainly the first game. It's the first game which I don't want him to go into where I think he's going to concede. Then Trent, the only reason I've left him out is I'm still not super sure on how slot system will translate to the league and also how the level of performance will be. Also, Bradley's expected minutes could be something to keep an eye on because he did so well last year. Trent's obviously still on holiday. The season's not that far away. We start in 16, 17 days. So with all those things in mind, is he 100% playing for the first game? And all of the other unknowns around him. They haven't even recruited anyone, Liverpool, either. They still haven't got a six. So I wonder if maybe, especially because if it's a new system, like he has to learn it as well. So with all those things, I'm pretty happy to let him go. And then on the contrary, Arsenal have just signed Calafiori.
Yes.
Apologies if I butchered that
No,
pronunciation.
you got it, Calafiori.
They've got Rice in front of an unbelievable defensive unit. They've got a manager who is definitely defense first, I would say, in terms of his approach. And if they sign Marina for that left centre mid, that defensive unit is just unreal and it will be so difficult to break down. Both their wings are brilliant off the ball as well, whether it be Saka or Martinelli. And I just don't see many teams scoring goals. I think they could basically be fixture proof. Even in Game Week 4, Spurs away, I wouldn't be displeased to start both of them because I think they can keep a clean sheet against anyone in the league, and that includes City in Game Week 5.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah.
Some people might be thinking with Gabriel potentially a rotation risk a little bit now with Calafiori coming in. Just explain why you don't think that might be the case.
Yeah, sure. So one reason I've gone for him over Saliba is I essentially want that bullet header in the first 3-4 weeks. That I think I have a more chance of getting from him, so that like if I get it right and they do keep a clean sheet, I'm going to be in a really good position if I can get a goal from there, right? Because I think defenders this year, they're not, I guess the middling defenders, they're not as advantageous to have because of the changes in the bonus structure. So I like the upside there. In terms of expected minutes, I think last year at the start of the season, he obviously got dropped because Arteta wanted a different profile at left centre back. He wanted more of a passer like Calafiori. But I think Gabriel did so well and is so competent in so many facets that he essentially was like, okay, cool. We can just invert the left back and it'll solve most of the issues anyway. And Calafiori can do that. And I just don't see Gabriel getting dropped with how good he is defensively. I think it's an unnecessary risk to take just to optimize it maybe a little bit more. So I think expected minutes was, especially early on when people are getting settled in, he should be nailed. He's well rested as well.
Yeah, from my perspective, I fully agree with that. I don't think Calafiori is necessarily going to come in and instantly start every game, but I think when he does find his place in the team, it will be at left back, which is his more natural position. That is really the one weakness you would say in Arsenal's defence. At least it was last year. Zinchenko's form not as strong. Injuries as well to him and Tomiyasu. And Kiwior, I'm not sure how hot Arteta really is on him. But yeah, I think with the changes to the bonus system as well, Gabriel could kind of usurp, even without actually scoring the headers, he could usurp Saliba, where Saliba was always slightly ahead of him last year on just baseline bonus. If Gabriel gets a couple shots on target, or even one on target per game, he's going to go above Saliba.
And because it is a big deal, I think it's 2 points for it, and that is a big deal for a defender. It's always like 27, 28, 26. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's always very close, especially players on the same team. So and when they're both going to have very high passing accuracy and that sort of thing, it could be a big difference maker if you are kind of assured of Gabriel's minutes. Okay, let's carry on. Who's next in the defense?
So I've got Konsa. And I've got Barco from Brighton. So the strategy here, I'll talk about a bit more from a macro level perspective. The strategy here is that I pretty much have good fixtures every single time I play defender, apart from the Arsenal boys in 4 and 5. So in Game Week 4, when Arsenal have Spurs away, Barco has Ipswich at home, I believe.
Yeah.
So I can play him. I can also play Konsa because he has a good fixture, and then I'll play one of the Arsenal boys because Maria has a difficult fixture. I think it's Liverpool away. So, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with having my keeper go to Anfield because he's had good fixtures before, and this is a fixture whereby maybe they're not in the best of form because of a new manager, and also it's got high save potential. And like I said, I'm happy to play an Arsenal defender in any. And given it's just one, that's solid. And I think the other issue is maybe Game Week 5 when Arsenal have City. So there, I'll just play one of them. I'll play Konsa and I'll also play Marilla. So I'm pretty happy with that overall.
No, I like that a lot. Now, overall, looking at the defense, and and seeing that you don't have, some of the highest owned players in the game there. How do you feel about that? I mean, obviously you like a differential, but
Yeah.
no Trent, no Gvardiol. The only player that's higher, I think, than them, roughly, I mean, is Porro, but I don't expect him to be as high in sort of more elite FPL circles, if I'm allowed to say that. But also Saliba as well. So yeah, two of the highest owned defenders who have incredibly high ceilings is risky, but you've gone for it.
Yeah, so in terms of ceilings, I'm pretty comfortable with Gabriel being able to match maybe Trent and Gvardiol. Maybe not week in, week out in terms of floors, right? Like you get Trent and Gvardiol who are probably going to get you far more assists in the game, and Gabriel's not really going to get you that, but he'll get you goals. So that's one thing. And same with White. His open play threat is enough for me, whereby I'm comfortable with him being able to score and get assists. And I just think Arsenal are the best defense in the world. I think with that last signing, they are the best defensive unit in the world. So in terms of clean sheets, 2 good fixtures in the first 3. I'm more than happy to fade Trent and Gvardiol as things stand.
Yeah, I mean, listening to you to say this, everyone was trying to get to or had double Arsenal clean defense by the end of last season, and as soon as you got on them, that was the best. Those two, Gabriel, Saliba, maybe another one, White was phenomenal. Were the most valuable defenders in the game, apart from Gvardiol right at the end. So it does feel a bit weird that we're not seeing, I mean, to be fair, even one Arsenal defender now in quite a lot of drafts. Whereas, yeah, you've gone for both. Let's round the keepers and defence off with the sub-goalkeeper.
So I've gotten Bentley. I'll be completely honest with you. There's no formally playing goalkeeper at the moment. So I've just picked just anyone. All
right, let's move on. Midfield. Let's start with the man you've already mentioned, and Nkunku is in. Now, viewers who have seen the rest of the episodes in this series will have seen that the predicted points of Nkunku are beginning to rise. These were at about 2 to 3 per game. Now we're looking at 4 to 5 plus per game as we see him starting games in pre-season, scoring a penalty against Celtic, even though Chelsea lost 4-1. But yes, his predicted minutes, I think, or his expected minutes, are increasing in line with what we'd probably expect.
Yeah. I'm really bullish, and he's getting closer to like the non-negotiable status for me. I think one of the reasons is the price; it's so good.
Yeah.
But a couple of other things. I was surprised at where he played against Celtic. So we pressed in a 4-4-2 off the ball, and he was part of the front 2, which I liked. He wasn't being shipped out to the left, so on transition, that's definitely helpful. The other thing is even like just in open play, just in general, right? He was so central and he was so high up. Even when like Celtic had the ball deep in our half, he was just allowed to stay quite high up, and I really like that. I like the fact he's going to be central and advanced, so that's a big thing. In terms of quality, I'd say obviously you've got Palmer, but him and Palmer are head and shoulders above the rest in terms of technical quality.
Yeah.
And I think maybe because he got injured, people don't appreciate that, but he is such a good player. Like you can't get into that front side and get the type of minutes he did at one point without being a top player. So I'm very comfortable with his goal scoring ability as well. Good ceiling, good floor. So for me, a lot good fixtures. And yeah, sure, Chelsea might concede a lot of goals. That's probably a good thing for him. It would just mean that like we'd have to score more, right? So yeah. I'm really, really happy with him.
Yeah, it's true. It feels like just because of the injury and him being out for so long, people forget how good he can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's going to be in my team as well. Okay, let's move on. Who is next in midfield?
So I'll continue with the Forest trend. And my thinking was, if I'm going to back their defense, I would like to think that they get at least some clean sheets. So therefore, if I were to take a midfielder from them, I'd be starting at 3 as opposed to 2 points, which I thought was, a 50% increase. I'll take it. So I've got Morgan Gibbs-White.
Okay. Triple up on Forest. I like it.
Yeah. Like I said, being aggressive and really trying to like, if I get it right, then I get it really, really right.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got penalties. He's got some of the best minutes around. I think in terms of midfielders, he'll be a top 10 in terms of minutes. So that's great. He's got a good ceiling. The one thing that I worry is he's only ever scored 5 goals in a Premier League season. And he does a lot of good things. But in terms of actually that final little bit of putting the ball in the net, he's got no problems with assists. But in terms of goals, I'm just hoping that I see enough preseason for him to essentially convert and score more goals. If I do, he's a lock. If not, I'll potentially consider Szoboszlai for that spot.
Yeah. And there's no, you're right. Because I don't watch, look, Forest aren't always on TV. If they're not against a big team, it's unlikely they're going to be on TV. So I don't always watch full Forest games. But sometimes, for example, I remember against United last season, scored a great goal. And you think, oh, wow, he's a good finisher. But it's a very good stat there. It just shows that he's not a natural finisher. Doesn't really get into the box as much as you potentially would want for a 6.5 million mid. Talk to me about Dominic Szoboszlai, because he is coming into the fore a little bit more perhaps under the new formation of Slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with him?
So he was my favorite differential to start with. He was the one I was banging on about a little bit. If he is to play, he's not really like an out and out eight. I think he's more so of a 10, just given his strengths and tendencies. He's got brilliant ball striking, better than most, and also he's a good carry. He's not your like traditional passer that you probably need as an eight in this kind of modern day style of football. You need to be both, and he's not really a passer. So having him closer to the striker as a 10, I think would be great for him to leverage his ball striking. In slot system, the wingers are normally wider, and the eights and the tens occupy those advanced central spaces. And with that in mind, if he's going to get an abundance of opportunities, like I said, with his ball striking and his finishing, as we saw in the preseason game, he will take him and he can do pretty well. So his minutes is another thing that I think could be pretty good. He's got a real engine on him, and that guy never stops running. So in a fairly intense system compared to most, if he can, give Slot that, I doubt he'll hook him.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on to the next midfielder then.
So I've got Eze next. I've got Eze.
Okay.
I think for me at 7 million, I was speaking to someone else about this. He might just be the best value pick in the entire game. You get a bit of everything. I'm warming to the fixtures he has. I think they're slightly better than I initially perceived. But he has penalties. He has brilliant expected minutes, just like Morgan Gibbs-White. But he's a better finisher than Gibbs-White. He has more assist threat. He's probably just a bit of a better attacker. And he has that whole zone dominance in those central areas and like that left half space. So for me, with Glasner's system, quite, positive. And the fact that they just look like they're getting better and better. Decent recruitment from Palace as well. He's just a guy that I'm just going to buy and just basically never touch and leave him alone. Just let him rack it up. And he's also got such a high ceiling. That's the other thing. Like, how many players can I get at that price point that have the ceiling of a premium? And his 18-point haul on the last day is indicative of that.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, as it stands, he's definitely locked in my team. Locked in a lot of people's teams as well, to be fair. We're seeing his ownership very high. 33% when they're, it's quite early on still in pre-season is high for a player like him. Okay, let's move on to the next midfielder.
So I've got Son. He's my
here we go.
Midfielder.
Now we're talking.
I've got Son. He's my premium midfielder. So again, going back to the aggressive strategy, the rest of the midfielders were more just stable picks. This is one I'm looking to be maybe a bit aggressive with, and it's why I didn't want to spend too many transfers on my defense. My thinking is he has a great record against Leicester, and that's something I look at. I think anyone who's played like any level of sport, even if it's the lowest level, when you have a fixture that you've had before and you've done well, there's always a little bit more confidence.
Yeah,
so
true.
That psychological thing I think will be a bit of an edge for him. If he is to play at 9, then you have arguably the best finisher in the world. He has been statistically for like the last 5-6 years at 9 against the newly promoted side with the new manager. Spurs have recruited pretty well, I think, this preseason. Postecoglou's system will just become more ingrained in them, and it's all very front-footed, positive, going forward and creating chances for the 9. But even if he's to play at left wing, given he's the captain and the responsibility he takes with goal scoring in that side, I'm still very comfortable having him. So I really like that first fixture. And then my idea is Everton at home, especially because it's at home. I'm very comfortable to have him should I need to hold him. But if Foden or De Bruyne look like they're set for good expected minutes in Gameweek 2, I'm there with Haaland, who some people aren't going to have. Captain Haaland, De Bruyne or Foden, that's 300% worth of ownership of City at home when some people will have none. And I really, really like that idea.
Yeah. That is the fixture, isn't it? Out of the first 2 weeks, that is the one fixture you think could be an absolute cricket score.
Yeah.
If City get it right. And if you nail the players that do well there, it's such an important start. I mean, talk to me about the importance of a good start, because some people say that, it's a long season, 38 game weeks. There's enough time to claw stuff back. But personally, I think that this is one of the most important parts of the season. You have pretty much a free wild card, 15 free transfers. Every move after this is going to cost you not necessarily in points, but in free transfers and opportunity cost. I think it's so important to nail the first draft, which is why your Gameweek 1 team, which is why I think a tool like the My Team tool is so important to help you get there and nail it. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think in terms of the tool, like just having it's not a human, right? So it's super level-headed. It's just giving you data, and it's a great tool, essentially, or person, if you want to call it, in this situation, just to bounce some ideas off and kind of see how they do with just pure data, right? And no like gut feelings, no biases, just pure numbers. So I think it's great. And I echo your point. I think essentially this season, it might even be a double-edged sword, because you can roll up to 5 free transfers now, right? So let's say you get it right early on. and you just let your team roll and roll and roll. Well, not only is everyone going to be behind in terms of free transfers, they'll also be behind in terms of points and the value that's stored up, and that'll kick on down the line. So that's almost like fourfold. So I think getting it right this season early on is imperative, like you said.
Yeah, completely agree. And to be fair, if Son does do well, Leicester away first game, and you have the Everton at home game second, people are not going to be on. A lot of people are not going to be on Son early in the season. And yes, if he say he smashed it against Leicester, might be a swathe of transfers for him. And as you say, that's the value, that's the timing, that's the extra free transfer, etc. And then the probable points as well. 6.7 predicted points in game week 2, according to the My Team tool. All right, let's round off the midfield.
This is the one that I'm unsure about. This is the one I'd like to sell, but I just feel like from a logical standpoint, I'm not trying to be too crazy, that it makes sense to have him, and it's Gordon.
Okay, yeah.
One reason, because he's 7.5, so like he's a bit more expensive than the rest. And I don't really want to be doubling up on attack super early. I'm fine to do it with the defense, but with the attacks, I'd rather just have the talisman from each team. A little bit of a spoiler, I've got Isak up front, but so does everybody. And look, the fixture in Gaming 1 is so good. I saw a Southampton fan on the timeline talk about how they're actually quite susceptible to players like Gordon, speed in behind. That's probably one of the reasons I'm holding him alongside a couple good fixtures after that. But yeah, I'd like to sell him. I just got a bit of a gut feeling that like Isak could do really well, but I'm not too sure about Gordon.
Okay. Yeah, I loved owning Gordon last year. I thought it was great. And I do think that 7.5 is a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah.
But I think he might be in my team.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point. And like, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to be really logical and keep him. It's just the fact that I have Isak and I don't really want to double up.
I get that. I think I look at the Southampton at home fixture and think, first game back in the league, still playing similar football to what they were playing in the Championship, which doesn't always translate. We see quite often teams that come up starting with the same sort of systems of play that they utilised in the previous season, and then after taking a few perhaps heavy defeats, they switch on a little bit and decide, okay, we can't really go along with this. I don't know. I feel like Southampton at home might just be an absolute plum fixture. But let's move on to the attack. Let's start with, two people that you said you've got, Haaland and Isak.
Yeah, something to note. I hadn't actually thought about what you just said, and I think you make a really good point that they don't change their system. I think that's a great point, because I remember there's always a few thrashings in the first early weeks of the season. So yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, people can definitely learn from that. I definitely did. And then going up top, yeah, Haaland, Isak. Isak, I think at 8.5 with penalties. Callum Wilson's injured. Those fixtures, just a lock. Again, no overthinking. How am I meant to outscore him? Like, yeah, sure. The likes of Chris Wood, Muniz, they could do really well. Even Watkins, but I'm just not interested. I'll take the security. And Haaland, I was probably 100% bullish on him maybe like 2 days ago. With the comments about Foden, De Bruyne, and all the returning players, probably reduced down to 90. But Ipswich at home game week 2, where they could be back. It's a complete headache to get him back in. Chelsea's high line. Yeah, I'm just not interested in selling him. I'd very much like to have him and just keep him for the whole season, basically. Yeah,
obviously no room for Salah in this one. But out of the two of them, you've chosen Haaland. Why is that? Do you not think Salah could match him? A lot of people are thinking that first game, Ipswich away, could be really good. He's looking very sharp in pre-season.
Yeah. So there's a few things. I think, firstly, like, Salah is arguably the best asset ever in FPL, right? So I'm very well aware of, I guess, the downside to not owning him. My reasons for doing so is, one, going back to the system, a lot wider than usual, a lot less runs beyond the last line, a lot less penetration in the half spaces. So probably lost a lot less shots, bit more creative, I think. And given that, at 12.5, if I can get someone like Son, who's probably a bit more reliable in terms of volume of shots and stuff like that, I'd rather save the money and move it elsewhere. And then the other thing is, I'm just not sure how they're going to do without any signings and a new manager. And the fact that they've lost such a special manager, I'm really not sure how they're going to do. Worst comes to worst, right? Like game week 3, if Haaland's done really poorly, I can always just move back in 2 moves.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me now, I think everyone's got to sacrifice a lot this season, right? The player pool is immense in terms of how good it is. So I'm choosing him.
Yeah, it's true. If you have the most expensive player in the game, then any other player is just 2 moves away. It's a very good point. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I know we get more free transfers this year, but that doesn't really change the fact that if in game week 2 or 3 you are scrambling for Haaland, you're still going to have to use all your transfers, and then, maybe hits as well if you can't get there in 2. And with Son there, say he's not doing it, you're only 2.5 away from Salah. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I can always just chop off Ben White if need be.
Exactly. If you had to. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is it for the team. Round things off with your final player.
I've got Stuart. because I heard that he might get some minutes. But again, with regards to the 4.5 forwards, it's very much dependent on basically day before the season who looks like they'll get the most minutes. I'll just pick them. I'm pretty set on 3-5-2 though.
Okay. So that is it for the team. Now it's my favorite part of the entire video, seeing what your rating is going to get. Now, I will say this before I tell you your rating, I'm going to give you an option.
Yeah.
Currently, Miguel, the Forest keeper, has 0 expected minutes.
Yeah.
Just because, again, like Nkunku, this tool, as Jian explained, is not a human. It can only go based off data. And so far, Miguel isn't officially nailed, even though we do expect him to start. So would you like to swap in the most nailed, according to the tool, Forest keeper in cells, just to give a more accurate representation of what your team will look like?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Just because, it's only fair. It's only fair. Yeah. Right. Done. Make transfers. Optimize team. And there we go. Tell you what, it's strong. It's strong.
Is it?
For a team that has 0.5 in the bank, doesn't have Trent, Gvardiol, Salah, it's very strong. So it's a team rating of 91%.
That's higher than I thought.
And a predicted points of 65.4. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it. I think it's the highest rating I've had so far. I've had some drafts that I've made that I like that are in the 70s, and they've included Trent and Gvardiol. So I'll definitely take a 91% rating. Also, I forgot to mention the 0.5 in the bank is quite nice. I can deal with any of the price rises with this side as well.
Absolutely. Now, interestingly, that team rating percentage, I'll show the scoreboard on screen now of our other guests, is 4th.
Yeah.
But the predicted points is actually 2nd. I think that might be because as we're moving closer and closer to the end of preseason, the start of the season, everyone's predicted points from just everyone really in the we're starting to understand which players are going to be in the team more. So I think in general, everyone's sort of team points are increasing, if that makes sense, in terms of the players that have always been in drafts that we thought might get minutes, but now the tool is understanding that as well. But yeah, 65.4 points. Would you take that if I gave that to you right now? And this is with Haaland captain, who I assume you'd captain Gameweek 1. Although Chelsea away, it's not the best opening fixture.
As a brace there, as a Chelsea fan,
as Chelsea fans, we can probably say that. Yeah.
Would I take season? No. I mean, like, how much worse am I going to do than 65.4? Right.
Yeah.
Like, worst case, I say I rock up with 45, and there I'm really playing devil's advocate. But like, you never know what can happen in FPL. Maybe I score 110 points, right? And I don't want to like limit myself in terms to my upside. The whole point is to be aggressive. So yeah, I'm not taking it.
Okay, fair enough. Aggressive team, aggressive thought process and ideology as well, I suppose, when it comes to Gameweek 1. That is Jian's team for Gameweek 1 as it stands. Very aggressive. Triple Forest, no Salah, Haaland, double Newcastle attack, and Son in there as well, which I really like, with the double Arsenal defense. Very, very nice. Guys, if you would like to get your own current draft rated for free by the exact same tool you've just seen here, then click the link in the description. It's very, very easy to do so. All you've got to do is take a screenshot of your team and click upload, and that's it. You don't have to do what we've just done, putting in a player by position, all 15. The AI now is so good, it just knows which players are in your team, as you can see on screen right now. It's very, very simple. Okay, mate, before we round things off in this one, I do just want to see if your team can be improved.
Of course.
With AI transfers. One of my favorite parts of Fantasy Football Hub. Yep. If you sign up, you get to use this. Let me show you what it does. Okay, Jian, so on screen right now are your AI recommended transfers. Now, before I reveal to you what they are, I just want to say to all of you guys watching, if you would like to get your own AI recommended transfers personalized to your team, then sign up to Fantasy Football Hub right now. Link in the description. This is the best time all season to sign up because it's currently 50% off in preseason, and we've got a deal running, which is this: if you do not win your mini league this season, Fantasy Football Hub will refund you all your money. Pretty crazy deal. It's just a fact. It's a deal that I don't really like saying at the start of videos because I don't really want everyone to know about it, but because you've watched this far, I'm telling you. So yes, link down below if you want your own personalized AI recommended transfers for your team. Okay, Jian. Now, I don't know if you're going to like this, my friend. I really don't. But it's suggesting a swap of your premium players. Gibbs White is sold.
Okay.
Haaland is sold.
Yeah.
In their place come Salah and Chris Wood. Now, I don't know. I don't know. We've just talked about the benefits of for you for going for Haaland over Salah, and then with that money, you can sell Concert and go to Robertson as well.
Okay.
So you're gaining a little bit of money. So you're beefing up the squad as a whole, but yeah, losing Haaland. So Concert, Gibbs White, Haaland out, Robertson, Salah, Wood in. What do you think about that?
I'll start with the positives. I quite like Wood as an option. I think if his expected minutes are good, there may be even a world where I do shift 3-4-3 and have him instead of Gibbs White, because his goal threat recently and when he's been fit has been really good for Forest, right? Especially towards the back end of last year. So that I don't mind. In terms of the two Liverpool boys, I really don't like the Robertson move. I don't think the new system suits him at all. He's better at bombing up and down those flanks and getting crosses in using his left foot. But if he has to play so narrow in like small spaces, I'm not sure his technical quality is as good as the likes of like Trent. So I'm not sure how, competent he'll be there compared to like what he has been in the past. Obviously a top player. And yeah, we've obviously spoken about Haaland, Salah. I completely get the argument for Salah. And I'm still not like completely adverse to putting him in my team, right? And shifting the structure around. But for me, as of now, I'm okay to go without. I think if I get through Ipswich, I'll be in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that Ipswich away fixture. I'm not sure. I feel like they could just go for it, and then that might leave a lot of space. But then they also could go for it and just be really on it, because the home crowd in the league, they've obviously had a crazy kind of progression over the last couple of seasons to be where they are now. It's a tough one to call. I think a lot of Salah, whether you go with him or not, could be determined by how you see that game going. But yeah, sure. There we go. Obviously, the algo loves Wood, very high on the predicted points, very high on value as is cheap. The one thing I will say is that it's recommending you maintain your triple Forest, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it probably recognizes the strength of the fixtures, which other teams don't really have, especially middling teams. I think even like the likes of Eze, right? We're all really set on him, but the fixtures aren't as good as Forest. Otherwise, I think his ownership would be even higher to a significant extent. So yeah, I'm really playing the fixtures there and hoping that with their recruitment and the fact that Nuno's had some time with them now, they improve.
Okay, well there we go. That is it for your team. Jian, thank you very much for coming on. Tell the people before we go where they can find you this season. Your Twitter, for example, has been on screen all video long. But apart from that, what are you up to?
So I've started a YouTube channel as well. So we've had a lot of uploads in preseason. I'll be producing content very regularly, pretty much every week now, for FPL. So you can find me at FPL Jian Batra, and yeah, you can find me there, and obviously the Twitter as well.
Very good stuff, my friend. I'm very interested to see if your final team is similar to what we've got now. One of my favorite, well, definitely my favorite team that we've seen on the series so far, as it just does have some fun picks. That's what we get with you, my friend. You don't come with boring stuff, which everyone goes, oh, boring template Gian in the comments. I mean, I've never seen that comment before. So that is a good thing. Guys, as always, as I said, there are multiple times throughout the video, click the link in the description. It's the best time to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. You don't have to sign up. If you do just want to get your team rated for free, do that as well. But I think you're going to want to sign up. There's so many more features, everything that I've shown in this video, and loads more. Loads of articles, loads of stats, comparison tools, everything you could possibly need to win your mini league this season. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode.